Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 2 of the Healing Loudly series. My name is Coach Paula, and for the next 5 weeks, you will hear stories of survivors who did not just overcome matters of abuse and trauma, but who managed to thrive as a result of intentional healing. These stories of overcoming are sure to encourage and to motivate, but don't just take my word for it. Tune in and listen for yourself.
My name is Shay, and I am going to be sharing with you my journey with surviving narcissistic abuse. I'm not sure I ever felt like he was the one. Throughout the time that we dated, to have this feeling as if, am I supposed to be here? Am I supposed to be doing this? I was very skeptical, and I expressed that to him as well. So yeah, I'm not really sure that I ever got peace about being connected with this person. What prompted me to engage in this relationship was honestly the fact that this person was chasing after me relentlessly. I had been single again for approximately 18 months when I met this person, maybe a little less. And, was dating around a little bit. There were others that I was talking to. But honestly, the people that I was talking to appeared to be a little bit intimidated. The relationships weren't really going anywhere. We were at a talking level, but it just didn't seem like it was picking up. And so when I met this person, he was extremely relentless in his pursuit of me. And it was just like, wow, he's chasing me. And even with that, I still remain skeptical, but I kind of talked myself into the fact that he seems to be pursuing me. So why not give it a chance? There were more than a few red flags. There were red stop signs, red lights, red Christmas lights. There were all kinds of things. There were all kinds of red, just like, sis, stop. You don't need to do this. So there were definitely signs that I saw. However, with those signs, and being the person that I am, I'm a therapist. So I naturally am in a field in which I'm helping people overcome. And so as a therapist, I tend to have those characteristics of being able to help people and quote unquote fix people. And so looking back, I really understand that I was codependent. But definitely I ignored many signs. We were even in a relationship the first time I felt unsafe. And honestly, the signs that were there caused me not to get into a relationship with this person for several months because of him. So I think within the first week or two, this person essentially blackmailed me after an incident in which I refused to engage in sexual contact with them. I can remember being, asked to engage, and I'm like, well, we just met. And of course, it was a part of the love bombing and a part of the pursuit. And, I expressed my value around that. And the person ended up, getting angry And so that was one of the first red flags that I saw, the guilting and, you know, getting angry and making this a big deal and not honoring my value around that situation. And I can remember disconnecting and cutting it off, you know, and the person contacted me in the next few days, maybe a week later, to tell me that he had spoken with my spiritual leader, my religious leader, my pastor at that time, and told him the story around we did engage in some form of, intimacy. It wasn't intercourse or anything like that. But he called to say that he had, revealed that story to me. And why that was so devastating, because I was completely, first of all, mortified, embarrassed, and just, it really ripped me apart, because at that time, and I guess I still am, I don't think you ever are not this, but I was a minister. And I was getting ready to start pastoring. And for him to breach that information, if anybody knows about, church and about certain denominations, I immediately just felt complete, I don't know, I just felt completely embarrassed. I was sad, I was frustrated, I was angry, and I didn't know what to do. And he tells me he told him this story or whatever. So I take it upon myself to say, okay, I'm going to reach out to my leader myself and speak with him directly about this, because I need to be able to tell my truth. I don't know what he has told this person. And so myself and my grandmother, we went to speak with the pastor. And he was very understanding, a younger pastor. He's not much older than I am. And he, I think I had blown it up a lot in my head about how he was going to judge me or receive me. And he totally took it from a different point of view. However, the truth was, he had never even spoken to my pastor. Never had a conversation with him. So it turns out that I had outed myself, quote unquote, based on a lie and a manipulation that he created, which somehow I ended up, honestly, I guess, immediately being trauma bonded to this person, because I allowed him back into my life. And that happened literally the first month of knowing him. So about my marriage, my wedding day. So it wasn't supposed to happen as quickly as it did. I got engaged probably 7 or 8 months after we met. And so at that time, we had planned to get married a year later. I ended up moving. So a month after I got engaged, I moved to another state. And myself and my children were moving to this other state. My spouse was still in school, so he was staying in the state that we were in and where he was living at that time. All of a sudden, after I moved there, he's like, "Oh, we should get married next month." And I'm just like, why? And I told my mom. She had moved down with me, and she was like, "There's no rush." there's no rush. Like, I think you should really think about this. And of course, I convinced myself that this person wants to be with me and let's do this. So I guess I created, planned this whole day. We met at a halfway point, which was halfway between the two states or halfway between the two cities that we were living in. And a month later, a month and a half later, or probably a month, maybe 3 weeks later, we met and we spent a night together before the wedding. We had this great, little hotel that we stayed in. We made it this whole big old deal. And the next day, we went and we were like shopping for what we were going to wear for the ceremony. We were going to just go in front of the judge and we were going to have a ceremony with our families the next year as we were supposed to. And we got married. I stood there like thinking in my head, like, am I really supposed to be doing this? Like, I was hoping that something would just pop out and stop me if I wasn't supposed to be. There was so much uncertainty. There was so much it was definitely not a decision that I was definitive about at all. And that's how I had felt the entire time I was talking to, dating, and engaged to this person. So we said I do, we took pictures afterward, and we were headed back to my home in Oklahoma because he was going to spend a few days with me before heading back to his home. And on the way we were driving, we were getting ready to drive off, and a female that he claims he didn't have any intimacy with, but like during one of our breaks that we had while dating, spent time with, and she wanted him and wanted to marry him. And of course, he had no feelings toward her. She called right after we got married. She called him on his phone and was talking about, she had been raped. She was in the hospital. She needed him. And I think my heart just kind of sunk, like, and honestly, that was one of many encounters that we would have that got progressively worse. I decided that I wasn't going to take anymore. That's a little bit to me of a complicated question, because I think I had many instances in which it was too much to bear. And that was probably 9 months into the actual marriage, with it being the first time that I was like, I gotta get out of this. And I can remember several times a year since then. So we got married in 2011. I think really everything kind of was a mess starting in 2012. I mean, there was a lot that happened during that first year that was just totally out of pocket as well, with different ways that he definitely was engaging in emotional abuse and extreme anger and things like that. But really, it became unbearable in 2012. And I think every year after that, there were several times a year that I contacted lawyers and I kind of was always on the verge of actually leaving. I think the final straw was in actually maybe a year before I actually definitively left, but probably in 2018, so after already, 7 years of marriage, probably 6.5, I really started working on me. And I started to realize that there's no amount of change talk that he can give me. There's no amount of fixing, there's no amount of magical thinking that is going to keep me in this any longer. I said to myself, I can't go another birthday like this. I can't go another year like this. And so I really started working on myself then. And I started, I was already in therapy, but I started really being intentional about looking at my codependence. I did like Codependence Anonymous. I was doing the workbooks. I was really trying to get to the root of what it was about me that not just attracted this person, but allowed them to come in and completely destroy my life. And then how do I get that back? So it became a year of me detaching emotionally, figuring out how to do that. There were so many hiccups because it's hard to go, gray rock with a person that is so in your face, that is always around, that is just this huge, seems like this huge presence that literally will not allow you any moment of space. And so that year I left twice, maybe 2 or 3 times that year I left. And then my mom passed away. And so I really think everything that happened that year with me preparing, and then my mom passed, and it was really the catalyst for when I finally left in September of 2019. And it was like a maybe a month of events that led up to that even. But because I was healing, I was putting in the work, it was like the universe just made it happen, for me. I got a glimmer of hope when I could get space from this person. So there were several times, especially when I left, and I could get just a breather that helped me to understand how my life would be if I could just disconnect from this person. The mental clarity alone, just after 24 hours of being away from this person, was invaluable. It was so peaceful. It was, I could make like, I felt like I could make some definitive choices. I felt like I, even though I was alone, that I wasn't alone, that I was able to just breathe, just breathe and think. And so I left in September, which, because of what all led up to me leaving definitively that very day, it was very difficult at first to have hope for myself. And it wasn't about me not being with him, but it was just the circumstances. It was everything hitting. It was the trauma just came down over me. So I would say maybe 2 months it took me 2 to 3 months to really get emotionally stable enough to understand that my life was going to be amazing and that there was hope. And I think I always knew deep down, but it was so grueling, just dealing with the pain and the shame and the guilt and all those different emotions. But yeah, with some, intentional healing, with having my tribe around, it really helps me to divert back to all the work that I had been doing to get there, and then realize, like, you're free. You are finally free. So many things have changed since I left that relationship. I think the biggest change that has happened, and the one that I'm most grateful for, is peace. Peace. Like, there's not this cloud of negative energy that you could cut with a knife if it was tangible anymore. You're not having to walk on eggshells or be careful about what you say. And if you do say something, you don't have to worry about, like, the anger and the guilt tripping and the gaslighting. There's nothing like having peace to make your own decisions, and peace to just be you without question, without having to provide an explanation for simple things that you choose to do. Just peace. That is the thing that I begged for the most, and didn't realize that I had to secure for myself, and I could secure for myself. So I am most grateful for that. And I think having that just allowed everything else to align, and synchronize. But I will never give that up again. The biggest advice that I would give someone in a similar situation is to encourage them that you are not stuck. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. You can get out of this. It's not easy, but you're not stuck.